We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. We're going to do another one of those podcasts where we do a TikTok live at the same time we do the podcast. Kind of two for one type of thing, kind of a lazy bastard kind of thing. Something you'd expect out of me. So, we're going to talk about all the things that are going on. Donald Trump is in some deep trouble. He's in his spiral. The crash is imminent, it's inevitable, it's going to happen, and it's just a matter of when. A lot of people want to look away, but you know what? I think this is important that we see this crash and we see the end and get some closure to Donald Trump. He's wreaked havoc on this country for 8 years, 10 years, whatever. And we need to see it come to an end, and we need to see it come to an end in a way that seems to be final. So I'm going to hit the live on TikTok here, and we'll see what comes up. We get a lot of people coming in asking all kinds of questions, and that keeps the show moving along pretty quickly. Um, Donald Trump has no plans of doing much campaigning in the near future, at least till after the Democratic National Convention. I don't know that he'll even start doing anything after the national convention. He's got a lot of issues. He's got money problems everywhere he could go. He owes people money, and they don't want him back unless they're going to pay him or unless he's going to pay them, and he don't have the money. Not to mention the fact that he's going to put himself in a situation where he's going to be embarrassed because every rally that he has is going to be compared to every rally that Kamala and Tim Walz has. And there's going to be no comparison. And Donald Trump cannot handle being embarrassed. Okay, we are on TikTok Live too. Just to let you know, I'm doing what I normally do. I'm doing the TikTok Live because I like to come out and talk to you folks. Hey, Carol, hi from Duluth. Good to hear from you. Love that town. Um, but I'm also recording it for the Rational Boomer podcast for not tonight, maybe tomorrow. So you get it coming and going both ways. But I thought it'd be a good time to come out and talk. We've got a lot of things going. Um, okay, Michelle says just listen to the Twitter conversation, and it was awful. Yeah, we know what happened there. Elon Musk was doing a interview with Donald Trump on Twitter or X or whatever we want to call it now. You know it's going to be a shit show. Um, but Donald Trump has to do things like this because that's free. He doesn't have the money or the freedom to move around and do the rallies anymore. People are getting tired of this shit. People are walking out on the rallies, as pointed out uh, by Eric. And that's true. They're getting tired. I mean, even dumb people get tired of hearing the same shit over and over again. TJ the plumber's there. He said Trump will come in here and do not interact with them. The mods will take care of them. And I agree. Yes. Do not interact with the Trumplefucks. Their goal is to come here, get some attention, cause a shit show, and try to get us taken down. Now, the moderators are out here to help us along with that, and I appreciate it immensely. They're going to mute these people. I want to say something too. There was some guy who was on the last live, and he claimed to be a Democrat. And he claimed that one of the moderators muted him incorrectly. And then he proceeded to threaten me for having the audacity to have him muted, which I didn't have anything to say about it. The moderators have the right to choose who they want to mute. And this guy went off the hook. I blocked him. Fuck it. I'm not going to mute him. I blocked him. So I will just tell you this: if you're on here, it gets a little chaotic here, and there's a lot of Trumplefucks out there. Sometimes it will happen that you will get muted by accident, wrong person. I might even do it myself by accident. So just don't worry about it. DM me afterwards. I'll make sure that's taken care of. We'll try not to do that though. Dale, hi from Vermont. Hey, love Vermont. I was there. What was it? Not last year, the year before. Burlington, beautiful town. And Montpelier, love that town. There was a restaurant in Montpelier, hamburger joint. It was awesome. Um, Criff Lay says, thanks for your opinions. Thank you. Well, hopefully we're giving you some facts too. I think we have a problem with the media where they don't give you the whole story or with the right angle on the story. We do have some hope here, and I think now that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are in the scenario, we do have a lot of hope, and there's some joy out there. Judy says, "Hello, love your lives. Thank you very much." Augustine Anthony, thanks for your strong thoughts and wisdom, my friend. Thank you. Um, let's see here. Marilee Stewart shared alive. I appreciate that. When it comes to the gifts and the sharing and all that stuff, I don't know much about that stuff. You folks certainly don't have to feel obligated to do anything like that for me. I just like to come out here and talk to the folks that are around and want to talk. D. Lou says, "How are you, sir? I'm your fan. Thank you very much. I'm great. Trump, Elon, Chad is horrible. I would have guessed. I would have guessed. If it had been good, maybe a major network would have wanted to put it on, but nobody did." Hi from Nashville. Hey, Marie. Good to hear from you. Haven't been to Nashville yet, but we're looking to get out there. Moore Park, California. Coming to California in October. Going to be in LA for a little bit, for a few days. The Twitter convo was nothing but lies and conspiracy theories. That's the thing about Elon Musk. Everybody kept telling me how he's the smartest guy in the world. Oh, he's brilliant. Everything he's done in the last 2 years has failed. I don't know where we get off thinking he's smart or any businessman. Why haven't the media questioned him about his lies? Well, that's a good question. I was talking about this with regards to the debate, and here's the deal. In the first debate, nobody pushed back, nobody fact checked Donald Trump, and that was annoying. Now, in the next debate, people are trying to figure out should the moderators push back with regards to Donald Trump's lies during the debate. A lot of people are saying, now let the opponent, let Kamala Harris push back. And I disagree because you're not looking at this, they're not looking at this in a proper way. ABC is a broadcast channel. These broadcast channels are licensed with the FCC. They don't own their airwaves. We own the airwaves. They are simply licensing their airwaves, and they have rules they have to follow. They can't run porn. They can't run violence. They can't do anything crazy because they're responsible and they could lose their license. So if you get somebody up there like Donald Trump telling lies, inciting riots, and talking about crazy shit, don't you have a responsibility to stop that or at least push back against it? I don't think it's up for debate. The network, the moderators do have to push back and fact check. Otherwise, just don't have the motherfucker on the air if you know he's going to lie because you don't own the airwaves. You're simply licensing the airwaves. And you know who you're licensing from? Us, motherfucker. It's us. Somebody puts a note into the FCC and says, I've got a complaint because of this. FCC's got to look into it. And who started that? Any one of us that make that complaint. All right. Somebody says people are tired of your mouth. Okay. Well, then see ya. I don't care. Um, that's the funny thing. When you come out here and do the things you do, I get a lot of people give me great accolades, and I'm embarrassed and I'm thankful for it. But there are a lot of people out here that want to call me out or call me names or something like that. And the thing about it is if you think you're hurting my feelings, you're not. I think it's kind of funny that I got in your fucking head and it's making you nuts that you have to come to this live and give me shit. Secondly, um, it's not going to stop me from doing it. You can try whatever you want. I've been here for fucking 4 years. Y'all tried a lot and it ain't working. Uh, Maud says, I'm never tired of you. You give the truth, you give the facts. If people don't like it, they can fuck themselves. I added that one. We're tired of Trump's mouth. Yeah. And you know what? I think we're at that stage in this country Put it to you this way. I'm familiar with narcissists, and narcissists have an arc. They start out strong and they're kind of annoying, and then they start flying pretty high. They start, people buy into the bullshit or they're allowing them to bully them, and things are going really well until they get to the top, like, say, the presidency. And then they start their descent. This always happens with every narcissist. They always have a descent, they always have a spiral, and they always have a crash. And that's what we're seeing with Donald Trump now. Nothing is working. Nobody's buying the shit. Even Republicans are stepping away from him. This is going to be an ugly crash when it happens, and it's inevitable. It's no question it's going to happen. It's going to be ugly, and some people will say, well, I feel sorry for him. I don't. I don't. And you know, all the people that we've had to deal with over the years that have supported Donald Trump, some people say, well, you know, when it's all over, we can come back together and be friends. I'm sorry, I can't. I mean, if we just had a difference of opinions on politics, that'd be one thing. But these people went out and stood behind a guy or stood side by side with a guy who was trying to overturn elections, undermine democracy, and overthrow our country. I'm sorry, there is no room for forgiveness there, not for me. If you supported that or if you did that, that's too far. You have to excuse me here a little bit. I got a cold, but I'm pushing my way through it. Savior says, please remind people to check their voter registration weekly. Yeah, and you can do that very easily. I did mine. Just go to voter.org, put in your information, and it'll tell you if you're registered. Okay. Thank you for that. Keep talking. We love it. Shay, I tell you what, even if you told me to stop talking, I'd keep talking. That's the only thing I know how to do, and I ain't stopping now. We got we got to get all the way through November, and then after November, there's all the other shit that's going to be coming our way. Um, it's your choice to be here. Geez, these people, yeah. I, I love that how they come to a live and then they complain. I'll tell you what the deal is here is these people can't garner enough people to build a platform. So they have to go to somebody who does have a platform and start screaming and yelling, thinking they're gaining something. But I got to tell you, if you're coming to one of my lives and you're going to talk shit about Kamala or Tim Walz or me or any other Democrat, you're not in for a good time here at these lives. Hello from Chaska. Hey, Chaska. I'm not that far away from you. I drive through Chaska all the time. Beautiful town. I love you and I'm happy every time I watch your videos. Well, thank you. I'm glad I can put some sunshine in somebody's life. It's just weird for me to even say that. I can't imagine this face putting sunshine in anybody's fucking life. Um, give us hope daily. Well, you know, there's always hope. There's always been hope. And I'm thankful to Kamala and Tim Walz for exploiting that hope and making that hope feel more real. The hope is here. Now it isn't a matter of whether Kamala will beat Donald Trump, it's by how bad. And I think the worse she beats Kamala or Kamala beats Trump, the better. We need closure on this thing. And I still wonder if he's going to make it to November. He's struggling a lot emotionally, financially, legally. He's not even out campaigning right now. He's going to lose. There's no question about it. And I think he's just now coming to that realization. Um, I come to you in the mornings before I check with the news. Thank you. I must say, he has hijacked America for almost 10 years. He's been in the news. But do you see how he's slipping now? He's not winning all the time, he's always losing. Like today, you heard that he was going to sue the DOJ for $100 million. He's just trying to make noise. He's not going to sue the DOJ for $100 million because if that lawsuit goes to trial, which it won't, he'll drop it before then. Then he's got to bring evidence, proof of what he's saying. And he doesn't want to bring that out into the public unless he absolutely has to. This is just Donald Trump trying to intimidate people. And see, this is what I'm saying. Donald Trump is a bully. Donald Trump is a buffoon. Donald Trump is a narcissist. And he thinks if he can get in your face and scare you and you back down, that's how he wins. Well, nobody's doing that anymore. Everybody's stepping up and saying, fuck yourself. Fuck yourself. And this is where Donald Trump doesn't know what to do. He's lost at this. Um, let's just say Russell at Abe won't be silent. Agree. Yeah, Abe's been on the Rational Boomer podcast a number of times. Love Abe. He's a great guy. He's got a great account on TikTok. If you haven't been watching it, you should. It's Won't Be Silent. He'll be on the podcast again. And I just want to remind folks that if you watch me on TikTok, I want to encourage you to check out the Rational Boomer podcast. We do the show every day. It's about an hour, hour and a half, depending on who's on the show. And we talk about all the details of the day in terms of what's going on and how it's affecting things. Uh, I do like the participation of listeners in the show. So I read a lot of emails when I have the chance. I have a lot of listeners that come on the show. Uh, there's a lot of good information being passed around, and it's not just all me. We get some very smart people on the show, and always looking for more. So by all means, give a listen to the Rational Boomer podcast. You can get it on Spotify, or you can get it the video version on YouTube. All you have to do is go to YouTube, search Rational Boomer, and you'll find it. Same with Spotify. There's also a page with links, rationalboomer.com. You can go there and you'll find the links to whatever you need. All right. Shay says, an old bully and talks about Biden. Now he's scared of Kamala. Yeah, he keeps bringing up Biden. I don't know if he realizes that Biden's out of it now. It's funny because they were pushing Biden, they were trying to discredit Biden. And then when Biden steps aside and Kamala comes in and she gets all this attention, they go, oh, we fucked up here. We got something worse. But as I've always said, Donald Trump, just let him talk, let him do what he does, and he'll always fuck it up. Sparkle says people sick and tired when people don't know what he's talking about, and he lives too. Thank you for doing lives. Love it. Thank you, Anna. I like doing the lives too. It's really nice, when you do the TikToks, you just kind of sit there and you talk to nobody and hope a lot of people watch it. But in this case, it's kind of nice that you get some interaction from the people who are actually listening. And I've been able to do it more for a long time. I was dealing with just these pounding of Trumplafucks and trying to take me out of the take me off and shut me down. They accomplish it sometime, but I will say our moderators do a very good job at tamping that down because it's really fucking joyful warrior. Ah, I like the name. Trump is losing his mind. Yeah, he really is. I mean, he's always had trouble emotionally and mentally, but he's really in one of those spots that a narcissist doesn't understand. It's very foreign to them. It's foreign in the sense that their bullying and their bluster and their bullshit isn't working anymore. It's worked all his life, but it's not working anymore, and he doesn't know what to do. So he's just going to do everything, and it can, uh, and it can get a little dangerous when he does something like that. But the other question is, why isn't he campaigning? I was talking about that earlier. He's probably not campaigning for a number of reasons. First of all, he's afraid to be compared to Kamala's um, uh, rallies because they won't be even close. He's probably not up to it health wise or mentally wise. Um, every town he goes in, he owes them a ton of money, and they don't want him back unless he pays off his bill, and he's not going to do that. Um, and you have to wonder if Donald Trump isn't just trying to back out of this, because that's the last thing narcissists do. When they get caught trapped in a corner, they do everything they can and nothing's working. Eventually, they try to slip away, and you have to understand the mentality when they do that. They feel like they're punishing you when they did that. Well, if you're not nice to me, then I'll just take my presence away from you and see how you like that. Well, we'd like it a lot, but Donald Trump's a narcissist, so he doesn't understand that. Angie says Trump owes about a dozen cities money for his past rallies. He's using Epstein's plane. Yeah, I mean he owes DC $9 million. He owes my town of Minneapolis $500,000. He owns multi millions of dollars to cities all over the country, and this is going as far back as 2016. Motherfucker doesn't pay his bills, and he just doesn't have the money. The money he's gaining or fundraising for his campaign is going all to his legal fees, and that's not going away anytime soon. He's got three more trials he's got to fight. So this guy's going to be a broke motherfucker when it's all said and done. And, I just want to say people are making a lot of hay about Trump in this plane that was once owned by Epstein. Yeah, that's kind of interesting, but it's not really because it's not owned by Epstein now. It's not owned by Trump. He rented it from a company who bought it from Epstein or something like that. That's kind of reaching a little bit. We know he's buddies. We know he was buddies with Epstein, but the fact that he's in his plane, I don't know that that makes much difference. All right. If you think Boomer is paid for this, tell him how to make money off of it. I don't know. DW Scray. I'm not worried about making money, to be honest with you. TikTok pays me a little money, YouTube pays me a little money. I'm not like a lot of people out here trying to make as much money as I can. I can't make a lot of money. I got Social Security. I can only make so much. But I appreciate the interest, but I'm not doing any of this to try to make a ton of money. I've always said Trump won't make it to November. Mental or physical breakdown, not sure. I've kind of said that too. Are you kidding? 54. This is a lot of pressure to put on an old guy, especially an old guy that's not in the best of health. They're taking all his money. He's got 34 convictions. September 18th, they are going to sentence him likely to prison. That's a lot to take. I mean, I hope he is delusional because that's the only way he's going to be able to take this if he's delusional. And I know that narcissists often are. They think they're always going to win, that they can always pull it out. If I could just delay it a little longer, I know I'll come up with something because I'm a fucking genius. All right, let's see what else we got here. Once again, we're on a TikTok live. And we're also doing a Rational Boomer podcast. So if you're on this live and you've never listened to the Rational Boomer podcast, I will tell you the podcast tomorrow has Jace from Texas. That's an interesting one. The next day, the podcast will be this live. That will be the podcast. Do you think there'll be any problems with certifying the election this time? No, I don't. I don't, because, here's the deal. People worried about that stuff. Anything they plan to do, they already tried that in 2020. So everybody knows what to look for. Is no surprises this time around. Back then, Donald Trump was the president. He had the power. But in 2024, he doesn't have the power. Joe Biden has the power. The other thing is, I think this election is going to be so one-sided. It's going to be ridiculous to even suggest there was um, any claims of stealing or rigging the election. I mean, in order to claim an election has been rigged, it has to be close, and I just don't think it will be close. Boomer is going to be taking a toll with all that negative energy Trump puts out. Yeah, no question. I mean, I think that's one of the things that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are very smart in doing. They're taking the positive side. They're looking to the future. They're looking to hope and joy and all of that stuff. Donald Trump has kept us in a dark place for almost 10 years. People are getting tired of that. They're fucking tired and bored of it. They want to see some light at the end of the tunnel. They want to see a sunny day. They want to have some joy back in their life. And I think it's about time we got that. Um, Hi, Boomer. Did you discuss the airport incident in Wyoming? in Wyoming. You talking about Montana? So Donald Trump was flying to Bozeman, and he was going to give a speech there. But he didn't land in Bozeman, he landed in Billings. Now, in my conversation with Jace, that's coming up tomorrow, we did hear something about that, and that was about money too. He was going to land in Bozeman and just go to the speech. Turns out he owes the Bozeman airport like $50,000. He didn't or couldn't pay for it, so he landed in Billings and took a car over there. Now he claims there was some kind of malfunction in the plane. Some people say that's true. Some people say it's not true. But the bottom line is everything Donald Trump does gets fucked up. Nothing is working. Not worrying about election deniers and places to certify. No. Well, because here's the thing, if it's not a close race and if we know what to expect, all that's going to happen is what happened last time. They'll take it to court. They have to do it quick. It'll get turned back and nothing will happen. I'm not worried about it. Not worried about it at all. Are you concerned about the possible shutdown? I'm concerned about the possible shutdown for the people of this country. I think the Democrats want to avoid the shutdown, obviously. And I think if there is a shutdown, the people that are going to take the toll, take the blame, are the Republicans. So the Republicans would be stupid to shut it down. Every time we've come close to a shutdown, I've said the same thing. Last minute, last day, they'll keep it open. And I think that's still probably the case this time around. What do you suppose the protocol would be this time around if Fat 45 attempted a cold coup 2.0? Well, I don't think it will happen, but I think it would be a fuck around and find out type of thing. If they were able to round up enough people to go after the Capitol, it's going to be a much different circumstance when Joe Biden is the president and Joe Biden has control over the National Guard in D.C. I think they will probably be out there before anybody is out there. Nothing like that's going to happen. These people have always claimed there's going to be a civil war and there's going to be all this violence. They said it before he was indicted. Nothing happened. They said it before he was convicted, and then he was convicted, and nothing happened. These people are cowards right now. Well, they've always been cowards, and they've got no protection because Donald Trump and the Republicans don't have enough control. You have to remember that January 6th was coordinated by a lot smarter people than the people that attacked the Capitol. These were people sitting in Congress. And don't think Jack Smith has forgotten about those members of Congress and their part in the January 6th insurrection. In order for these people to do this, they're going to need bigger people with bigger pockets, deeper pockets like Congress to help them coordinate this type of thing. I can't imagine these people in Congress are going to risk that situation again this time around. It just doesn't make any fucking sense. They're already in trouble. They're not going to double down on something like this. All right. I'm glad you have your platform about this. Thank you. Can I ask you something? Can I ask you something? Yeah, go ahead, ask me something. Amen to that. It will be a landslide. I have a feeling. Elon just endorsed Trump. So the fuck what, right? I'm not surprised by that. Thank you for that information, but god damn it, I hate Elon Musk. He's such a he's such a putz. Why would Epstein's plane have Trump's name on it? I don't think it did. I think he rented the plane from somebody else. So there is a plane with Trump's name on it, but yeah, I really don't think that's a big deal. I mean, those planes get sold around, and he had a few planes. I mean, it's weird. It's kind of cool, but it doesn't tell me something. Uh, thank Mr. JS Webb for subscribing. Thank you. I've never asked people to subscribe. You don't have to do that, but I appreciate it. Why does Trump keep telling his supporters they don't need to vote? Well, you know what? People think that there's some secret strategy to that, that he knows something that nobody else knows, that he's got this system gamed already. You don't need to vote. That's not what he's doing. You have to understand how a narcissist thinks. They always talk in extremes. It's always the greatest, it's always the worst. And he's trying to tell them, I've got so many votes, you don't even need to vote. Doesn't mean he doesn't want their votes, or maybe he does believe in his delusional mind that he has enough votes to win, that he's going to win in a landslide, as he said. But it has nothing to do with any great strategy or any plan he's got. Donald Trump doesn't think on that level. Donald Trump is very emotional, very reactional, and everything he says is out of instinct. It just comes out of his mouth. He hasn't thought about it at all. It's not a sign of some secret little thing going on that he's got planned. Marianne says, so very glad to find your TikTok. You keep me on the positive side of life. Well, that's the only place to be, man. Always look at it in a positive way. Assume you're going to win. Assume the best, because then you're more likely to get the best. When you're in this dark place and think you're going to lose, life sucks. Election results predictions, which states? Well, that's a good point. I just heard just before I started this live that Arizona is going to have the abortion question on the ballot, which is good news. They're going to vote whether to make abortion legal or illegal. And they'll pass it to be legal in Arizona. But that gets a lot more people out, more younger people, and more Democratic people, and even some Republicans, because Republicans are for Roe v. Wade too. So that's good news. Abortion is on the ballot in Florida, as well as the legalization of marijuana. That's going to get a lot of young people out. And there's some talk now that in Ohio, because young people are so energized by Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, that Ohio might be in play. So if we've got Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, if we can win those and Kamala's ahead there, and if we could get Florida and Ohio or Arizona to flip, um, it would not only guarantee a win for Kamala Harris, but it would be a fucking landslide. I think we're going to see some surprises. I think we're going to see an unprecedented amount of people come out and vote. We saw it in 2020. We saw a pretty good turnout for the 2022 midterms, and that was all due to this Roe v. Wade thing. That is the big issue here. You don't have to have anything else. That Roe v. Wade issue is what's going to bring people out and cost Republicans the election. I don't understand how they don't get it yet, but that's exactly true. So I think it's going to be I think you're going to see some states that would normally be considered to be red that will ultimately end up being blue. And it's going to surprise a lot of people, and it's going to scare the shit out of the Republican Party. And they're going to have to step back and come up with a new plan for the next time around. Lisa Harvey discovered you on Twitter, the post about the malignant narcissist. Love from Cheshire, England. Well, thank you very much, Lisa. I've not been to England as yet, but hope to get there soon. I appreciate you commenting and taking the time to listen. Why is Elon scared of censorship? I don't know that he's afraid of it. It's just his way to try to own the libtards, I think. Claims censorship. Lisa, psychic medium. I'm glad I found you. Well, Lisa, I've watched you on TikTok too, and I'm glad I found you. We should talk sometime, maybe on the podcast. There's people say, well, who can be on the podcast? Anybody can be on a fucking podcast. My fucking podcast. I'll do whatever I want. So, but I hope you do listen to the podcast. We talk a lot about politics, but we get into some other areas too, and I'm open to talking to anybody. Um, I'm naturally curious about people. Have you heard anything about the 10 million Trump received from Egypt? Yeah, I have heard about that. And somebody was trying to pass it off as, oh, it was just an accident, a $10 million accident. Yeah, I doubt that. When money's involved, it's not an accident. Donald Trump is always getting the money. Do you think the Republicans are rigging the vote? I think they're trying, like they always try. I don't think they'll be any more successful than they were in 2020. You're worried about January 6th. What about the assassination attempt planned by the Biden administration? Yeah. All right. Let me take care of this motherfucker. All right. See, that's the thing. I figured out how to handle people on my own. Now the moderators would block a motherfucker or mute a motherfucker. If I see somebody like that who's a Trumplefuck, I just block them. I mean, that's always been my strategy with TikTok. Everybody gets taken down and gets videos taken down and stuff. So I just block them. I figure, why should I risk my platform on Trumplefucks? All right. I got people who want to come on with me, and I'm thinking I'm going to do that maybe at some point. But in this situation, people who want to come on and talk, I have no problem doing that normally. But in this particular situation, I'm recording it for the podcast. So if you're on the TikTok, I may be able to hear you, but you won't show up on the podcast, and that just causes all kinds of problems. All right. Thank you, Boomer. You claim my mind, Susie. Is that a good thing? I'm not trying to control anybody's mind. I'm just trying to cause them to rest a little easier. Elon interviewed like he was applying for a job with DJT and got it. LOL. Yeah, I bet he did. What a kiss ass he is, you know. Um, Tommy Two Tone says that Marcia Brady. I love you, Marcia. I'm so excited for this election. I am too. I did not see the interview with Trump and Elon. I probably couldn't have sat through it. Do you think they will bring Trump Jr. forward for 2028? No. I got to tell you, after the November election, Donald Trump and the Trump name is going to be like a pariah in this country. Donald Trump is going to fall so hard that anybody close to him is going to be stained with his poopy diaper, if you will. And Donald Trump Jr. Donnie's tweaking out. Donnie Jr.'s tweaking out so much. I don't know that he'll last any longer than Daddy. You use my sleep, Sir Boomer. Thank you, Angie. I appreciate that. Grandma Squirrel. Elon was buttering up Trump in that awful interview. The thing about it is so many people nowadays are really seeing him for what he is. You're seeing more Republicans stepping away from him, and it's going to happen even quicker because every day something's going to happen. He's going to say something, and people are just going to say that's too far. I can't do it. Um, what are the election results? Kamala wins easily. Um, Electoral college prediction. I don't make predictions like that because I think it's going to be better than I can even imagine. Minnesota Blue. Yeah, you got it, Tommy Two Tone. Tina Peters was convicted today in Colorado. She interfered with the machines. Yes, she did. Heard about that other Jan 6 insurrectionist guy who was a creepy motherfucker. He went to jail for 20 years. And guess who didn't pardon him? Dirty diaper Donnie Trump. How do I think Trump will handle losing? Well, I got to tell you, I don't know what kind of condition Donald Trump's going to be in by then. Yeah, he might be screaming and yelling like he did in 2020, but he won't have the credibility. He won't have the power he had back then. People will have already heard it so many times before. He'll be like the boy crying wolf. Nobody will fucking care. He will lose so decisively that any power, any support he had might as well just dissipate. He'll get the Trump humpers, the base and stuff like that, but I think it's going to be embarrassing for him when it's all said and done. Do you think he's getting dementia or Alzheimer's? I think there's something going on there. I don't know. Maybe it's just his normal psychosis because he's had some mental illness for some time now. What do I think about JD Vance dressed as for drag in Halloween in 2012? I saw the picture. I don't know that we know for sure it's JD Vance. It does look like him. And it looks like something a college kid would do during Halloween. I knew college kids that would do that. However, what makes it fucked up is that those college kids that I knew that maybe dressed up like women back in the day aren't trying to take away rights from the LGBTQ folks, aren't trying to be um, damaging to that group of folks. So I think it's pretty appalling. I think it's pretty embarrassing. And I know the little Trumplafucks, those homophobic pieces of shit, will get all weird about it, and it's probably not going to help them too much. Wandog or Wanda G, you really inspire me. Well, thank you very much. I never thought I would be inspiring anybody, but I appreciate that. Tony Schaefer says, your educated guess, will Trump do time? If so, how much time will he get? Well, it depends on what you're talking about. I think he will get jail time. I think he will get jail time for the Manhattan District thing. It might be a while before he goes to jail because he'll appeal it, of course. But it doesn't matter. I want to see him get sentenced with jail time. But let's just say this, if he doesn't get jail time for the Manhattan District, when those other threes happen, now keep in mind, they're going to come after the election. And what's going to happen after the election? He's not going to be a candidate for president. He's not going to be the president. The Republicans will pretty much abandon him because he lost this race for them. Uh, when he gets convicted in those other cases, he will most certainly get jail time. I think that's the only option, really, that he would get jail time. So, yeah, I do think he'll get jail time. Um, do you think he will use SCOTUS to help the election go his way by claiming voter fraud? Um, I suppose that could come into play, but it didn't work last time. It's not going to work this time. He's going to have no reason, no proof, no evidence like he did last time that there's any voter fraud. And like I say, if we all do what we're supposed to do and get out there and vote in mass, I mean, if it's a landslide, it's going to look pretty foolish for him to try to claim for a hoax. I mean, Donnie will because he's a dipshit, but nobody will agree with him because it would be such a ridiculous thing. Musk will fall because of Trump. Yeah, that's the thing about Elon Musk. He's lost a lot of stock in this country. He was one time a hero. People thought he was the brightest guy, the richest guy, the smartest guy. I don't think he's a smart guy. I mean, anybody could take a going concern like Twitter and run it into the ground and lose half your money in fucking week. That's what he did. But this is what I don't understand. There's a lot riding on Donald Trump winning this election. It's his only way of staying out of jail is if he wins the election. And all these people that are standing next to Donald Trump, the only way they win anything is if Donald Trump wins the election. But we know that Donald Trump is not going to win the election. It's not even going to be close. So these people that stayed too long, like the Elon Musk and some of the other idiots, what are they going to do after it's done? Are they going to come back to us and say, "Oh yeah, we knew all the time. He's fucked up. We're with you on this." I'm sorry, that's not going to be enough. I'm not going to let them off the hook. Anybody who comes up and starts talking shit and trying to get back in our crowd after hanging with Donald Trump to the last moment, I'm sorry, they aren't acceptable. There is no sympathy for these fucks. Kamala is going to get 368 electoral votes. I don't think that's a bad. That may sound like a crazy guess, but I don't think so. He must have dirt on these people to ride that sinking ship. You would think so. And that's one of the other things you have to consider when Donald Trump gets to this point where he's just losing and everything is going out the window. If there is dirt that he has on these people, it's going to start coming out. I think between now and the next month or two, you're going to see Donald Trump dropping a lot of crazy shit. And it may be dirt on some of these people that have been afraid that he's going to reveal some things. I mean, that's Donald Trump's MO. If you remember Jeffrey Epstein, the whole way he made money was by blackmail. He would get videos of rich people with underage girls and hold that over their heads and make their money. Now, Jeffrey Epstein once said that he looked at Donald Trump as a mentor, meaning that's what Donald Trump does too. This isn't a new strategy for Donald Trump. He's always done this. Um, unless he gets a plea deal, he will drop. Well, who's going to give him a plea deal? See, that's the thing is everybody thinks that Donald Trump will get a plea deal in some of these cases. He won't. He's the top of the pyramid. He's the goal. Nobody's going to give him a deal. Now, he might want to go to Biden and say, listen, I'll drop out. And if you don't put me in jail, but why would Joe Biden do that when he knows he's going to lose anyways? There is no, um, um, there's no leverage there. There's no reason to do it. Dodger fan said, when did rational debater or HVAC Jeffs change sides? Yeah, you maybe remember HVAC Jeff. He was a Trumplafuck. He called me out on TikTok. I put him on the podcast. He didn't go well for him. Didn't go well for him. And since that time, he's now switched sides. Now he's pro Democrat, and he changed his name to Rational Debater. Wonder where he got that name. I feel sorry for this kid. Honestly, I do, because I don't know that I believe anything he says. I think it's all about him chasing followers. I saw a TikTok of him earlier in the week, um, where he was stitching older millennial, that creepy fuck, and he was calling older millennial out. He's doing the same thing, trying to get somebody with a lot of followers to challenge him and come on his live or let him come on their lives so he can gain followers. That's what a lot of these people are doing. They're just chasing followers and they don't even necessarily believe what they're saying. Do you watch any independent progressive media like David Pakman or Brian Taylor Cohen? Yeah, I do. I mean, I don't sit down and watch for an hour these guys, but I watch stories that they have and they have some good stuff. Um Lebowski says or Boski says you have been very informative, sir. Much appreciated. Why do they keep going far right? Um, that's a good question. When you look at all the far right wants to do, none of it is good for the middle class. None of it is good at all. I don't know why. Um, I don't know why they keep pushing it. I don't understand it. I mean, wealthy people should be on the side of Biden and Kamala because the stock market's going crazy. Remember the stock market thing? It dropped 1,000 points. Oh my God, here comes the recession. Next day, it pops back up again. They are desperate for something to go wrong with the Biden administration. It just ain't working. I'll take Walls over Vance every day and 100 times on Monday. Yeah, no question about it. They fucked up when they took JD Vance. He was a bad choice. I think he was a choice that was pushed on Donald Trump by Don Jr. and the tech bros out on the West Coast. Um, it's a funny thing. Somebody's talking about taking away the Department of Education and all the other things they want to do. They must not look at polls in the sense that they don't understand what the majority of the people in this country want. I mean, overturning Roe v. Wade was absolutely stupid because 75% of the country supports Roe v. Wade. So why would you do that? How do you think that's going to help you in an election? And then when they realize that, they double down on it. It's just stupid. It's like they're trying to tank the election. Trump has dirt on people, and I believe dirt will be dropping on Trump next few weeks. Yeah, I think so too. I think there's a lot of stuff that's coming out that is going to horrify people. Michael says, I'll healthy people know that they went from 34% down to 21% with Trump. That's all they care about. Why does MAGA say Trump is not a felon? Yeah, because they're stupid. What they're trying to say is, well, he's not a felon until he loses the appeal, because if he wins the appeal, then he's not a felon. No, the fact of the matter is he was convicted by a jury of his peers. He is a felon. There's no two ways about it. Donald Trump is a convicted felon. All right. What kind of couch does JD Vance prefer? Well, now that's a good question. I mean, do you go with a microfiber, a leather couch? I don't know. I guess that's a personal preference type of thing. Take neighbors and friends to the polls. Remember, Hillary was projected to win. Blue to the polls. Do you follow Harry Sisson? He's a great creator. I do watch Harry Sisson. He's a brilliant kid. I'm amazed every time I watch him. I've seen some of his lives too, and I give him credit for having patience. You have to be able to be young doing that. I watch these guys in the lives constantly debating these Trump-fucks, and it just hurts my head because no matter how you debate them, no matter how smart you are, you're not going to get through to them. They're fucking imbeciles. That's why I choose typically not to debate with Trump-fucks. It never goes well for them, and I feel sorry for them in the end. Um, but I think we're better off kind of pulling together an audience of like minds so that we can get out there and vote and get these fuckers cleared out. We're not going to fix the Trump-fucks, just not. What's your take on the shit show that's happening on Twitter right now? I'm not going to say X. Yeah. I think it's I think Elon Musk is trying to boost X and try to make more money. It's not going to work. And I think Donald Trump will do anything to campaign where it's free because he's going broke. He doesn't have the money to put on a rally. And he's not. Um, I'm just looking at some of these comments from some of the Trump-fucks. The ignorance is palpable. I love how I love how the Trump-fucks want to try to discredit Tim Walz. Well, good luck with that motherfucker. He's squeaky clean as you could possibly be. You can make up shit, but I'm going to tell you this right now, Trump-fucks. You can go after Walz all you want, but he ain't your problem. Kamala Harris is. Kamala Harris is coming, and she's going to kick Trump's ass. And you motherfuckers are all going to be whining and crying afterwards, and you won't know what hit you. So keep paying attention to Walz. I mean, JD Vance is a couch fucker. So beat that one. But Kamala is who you should be worried about. And you should be really worried. Republicans keep pushing VP on a no tax on tips. But do you know if she has to be president first? Yeah, I mean, anytime you do something like that, that probably has to go through Congress and go to the president. Yeah. I think it's a good idea, too, by the way. I tell you one thing, whenever my wife and I go out to dinner, and we go out to dinner a fucking lot because we're old and that's about the extent of our social life, we always tip very well and we always tip in cash because I don't like it going on the credit card and hoping against hope that the restaurant gets them all their money and then they get taxed for it. I give them cash and they can do what they want with it. Kamala only got where she is by sleeping her way to the top. Somebody pointed out something. Well, if that were true, and it's not true, Donald Trump only got to where he was because daddy gave him some fucking money and kept bailing him out every time he failed. But what are you suggesting? Are you suggesting that people in politics are giving people carte blanche just for sleeping with him. It's not just the woman. It's the guy too doing the same thing. The whole point is so stupid. If that's the best you've got against Kamala, well, God bless your soul, because you got nothing. It's just like when Donald Trump said that Kamala didn't like Jewish people, yet she's married to a Jewish man. Wow. Do you people understand that when you say these things, it doesn't work? It doesn't resonate with anybody. You're just flapping your gums and wasting energy. Squeaky, squeaky, squeaky clean walls. Yep, VP Harris will wipe the floor with Trump. No question. Wicked Queen says there's some bright bulbs here tonight. Yeah. Yeah. There's going to be a full load on the short bus after this is done. Um, let's see here. Vance said, my couch pulls out, but I don't. Wow. Here's another guy, JD Vance. He has a few bucks. He wrote a book that turned into a movie. He's a U.S. senator. What's he going to do when Donald Trump gets his ass kicked and all this stuff gets exposed? This stink of Donald Trump will be on JD Vance forever. Good luck trying to make a living then. Rick says hello from Sacramento. 60-year-old white guy, your biggest fan. Thank you, Rick. Love Sacramento, by the way. I heard Kamala is gaining traction in Ohio. That'd be great if they turned it blue. Yeah, you know what's going on in Ohio is that there's colleges in Ohio, and Kamala and Tim Walz are bringing out the young people. This is the big deal in this, over and above the Roe v. Wade thing, is that young people are really resonating with Kamala and Tim Walz. So they're coming out. And if they can get the young people to come out in Arizona and Ohio, Ohio could turn blue. Can you imagine how fucked up that would be for the Republicans if Ohio turns blue and Florida turns blue? Angie Guts, I love you, Boomer. I love you too, Angie. Raising the pay of servers would help more. Absolutely. Raising the pay of everybody to a reasonable fucking price. This might be a blowout election. Trump's diapers is full too. Yeah, it could be a blowout. It could be a blowout. I'm hoping it is. Did Trump go to Montana as a revenge rally against Senator John Tester? Yes, he did. John Tester is going after Dr. Ronnie Jackson for his bullshit stuff and running pills in the White House. So Donald Trump wanted to try to help beat John Tester out. I don't know if he can do it, though. Magic Mohini says no self respecting woman who heard the Elon DJT interview should vote for DJT or support Elon. There should be no woman that votes for Donald Trump. Absolutely not. No person of color should vote for Donald Trump. Nobody in the LGBTQ community should vote for Donald Trump. He has done horrible things to those folks. And I can say, as an old white man, the one group of people the Republicans don't fuck with, I hate them too. Um, like Kamala says, when we fight, we win. Yeah, and that's the good thing about this is that for years and years, the Democrats never seem to fight back. And that's the one thing that Kamala and Tim Walz gives us, the ability to fight back, um, a strong person who's going to push back when they are pushed. And we finally have that going on right now. Let's see here. What else we got? Jackson's pill mill was really serious stuff. He was giving it out. Yeah, there might be some indictments there. My mother in law family has always been red. They are sick of Trump and are now blue. Love it. Yeah, that's the thing is there are a lot of Republicans out there that are getting sick of Donald Trump. They'd probably vote for another Republican candidate, but the fact of the matter is that they're getting sick of the chaos and the darkness and the constant news stories of crazy fucking political shit. People are tired of it. Sadie says Joy is back to fight. Absolutely. Hamlet says these feel like the Obama years. Yeah, it kind of does. I honestly think that what we're going to see is even more excitement, more turnout, and more success than the Obama years. I'm excited about this because I think we've got things rolling here, and the idea that it might be a honeymoon period and it'll go away, I don't think that's the case. There's too many things yet to come. We are united, silent, but deadly. Oh, Grandma, I don't know if you're silent because I'm fucking not silent, but we are deadly to Republicans. Do you ever catch Michael Cohen? I do. I watch him from time to time. I'm not sure how I feel about Michael Cohen because when he was working for Donald Trump, he was a piece of shit. I appreciate the fact that he's going against Donald Trump now, but I feel kind of weird with him. Video is frozen, but comments are still scrolling. It doesn't look frozen to me, and I haven't heard it from anybody else. You know, anytime you have TikTok, some fucked up shit can go. And we're gonna go maybe another 15 minutes or so. I don't like keeping people here long because y'all have shit to do. Josh says, "Thank you for being the voice of reason and intelligence all this time from another old white guy. Thank you. Thank you for being another old white guy that has some common sense. No one with education should vote for Trump. No one with half a brain should vote for Trump. Young folks are game changers. I would love for Harris Walls to do a college tour in the United States. Yeah, that would be interesting. And I think the young people will be the deciding factor in this country. I mean, let's be honest. When we're talking about Roe v. Wade, the abortion issue isn't a factor to me. I'm not having any more kids. It's about the young people, and they should have some control over the destiny of their future. So they should come out and they should do what they need to do because this is going to affect them. It's not going to affect me. Do you think there'll be a lot of women voting against what their husbands want? Yeah, probably. Probably. Um, you go into the reddest state, and while the men might be all for making abortion illegal, we know 75% of any given state supports Roe v. Wade. So, yeah, you might see that. TJ the plumber says, Mike, everything is under control here. You can keep going as long as you like. So we'll keep going for a bit. Thank you, TJ. We are going to turn Texas blue. That would be fucking amazing. I'll tell you this, if you turn Ohio, Florida, and Texas blue, it's not even going to be close. It is going to be a legitimate landslide. Um, Women leave states where you don't have your rights. Forget your husband if he doesn't come with. Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. I mean, it's hard to leave your family, but if people aren't willing to protect your safety, and that's what it's about. It's about safety. I mean, on the Rational Boomer podcast, I have a young woman come on. Her name is Old Soul, and she works with a lot of folks, young women that are in states where abortion is legal and they need reproductive health care. So they come and stay with her and they take care of her. The stories you hear are absolutely horrendous. Women are raped or incest and or they're sick and they're not healthy and they still can't get the abortions. So they come stay with Old Soul. Old Soul sees them through it. Um, it's not just about the black and white question. I'm for abortion. I'm against abortion. It's about the health and welfare of your women. And if that doesn't matter to you, well, fuck you. Trump loses. Do you worry about a repeat of January 6th? No, I don't. Totally different circumstance. Joe Biden's in control. These people are cowards. They know what's going to happen if they do something like that. We got to be tougher on Israel ceasefire for the younger vote. I don't know that the younger vote is as tied up in the Israel thing as a lot of people want to say it is, um, because Roe v. Wade's got to be more important to them than Israel. Karen, 76-year-old liberal from Ohio, thanks for your logical approach. Thank you. Thank you for listening. If they try it again, they better come heavy. Yeah. The gravy seals. Yeah. You know, it's like the apple dumpling game coming up 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 to the Capitol. Yeah, it's not going to go well. They're not going to do it. Analytical Iowan. Also is one of the many guests you have on all the time on the podcast, and Analytical Iowan too. That's Eric. He's on the podcast frequently. He's from Iowa. If you take a look at Analytical Iowan, if you don't follow him, you should. If you follow me, you probably should follow Analytical Iowan. So check that out. Abby Normal, Ohio here. Blue, we're where I'm canceling my ex's vote. Well, thank you very much. I'm thinking the youth aren't polled as much. No, I doubt that. Unless you're sending it to them on Snapchat, probably not. What have you heard about the scheme not to certify the vote in certain states? You know, it's all the same. It's all the same thing. You know, they tried in 2020. It's not going to work. Lynn says, "Are you okay? You sound like you may have a cold." Yeah, I have a little bit of a cold. I'm getting rid of it now, but fuck. I'm 64. I'm not going to the light yet. I get colds from time to time, not very often, but I've got one. It's a pretty light cold, really. It's not that big a deal. College loans also matter. Yeah, it absolutely does. And people always argue with me about college loan forgiveness. People don't really understand why that's important. It's not about giving these kids a free ride. It's about understanding that millennials and Gen Zs are going to be pretty much controlling our economy in the coming years, not too distant future. They're going to need to buy homes and cars and go on trips and spend money. And if they don't do that, it's going to fuck up the economy. If you're a retired person and you want to sell your house and use that as part of your retirement, and say it's worth $400,000. Well, if these millennials and Gen Zs can't qualify or can't afford to buy your house, guess what? Your house is worth less than you thought it would be. So you got to think beyond the end of your nose. It's not just about giving these kids a free ride. They were taken advantage of. These loans are predatory. And we've got to do something about that if we want to keep the economy solid. As a nurse, the majority of abortions are clinical means are due to fetus is not viable. Exactly. The Republicans would have you believe that women are just having sex indiscriminately, getting pregnant instead of using contraception. They just have abortions willy nilly. And the fact of the matter is, that's just not the case. Boba says, "You are awesome." Well, Boba, you're awesome too. Thank you. Netanyahu wants to be a dictator. Yeah, that's one of the big problems with the Israeli thing. I never talk about the Israeli Gaza thing because it's a no win situation, but I will tell you this: I support the people of Israel, I support the people of Gaza. I hope Hamas gets wiped out, and I hope Netanyahu goes to jail because these two fucking the Netanyahu administration and Hamas are the ones causing these problems, and these poor people in Israel and Gaza are just collateral damage, and it's bullshit. Tim Murphy, have you started and run a successful company? If so, please explain so I can respect you. I've had a number of companies in my life. I'm 64. I'm retired. I owned a recording studio. I owned a syndicated radio production company. I was in the music business. I was in the brokering business. I've done a lot of things. Yeah, I've started businesses before. And whether you respect me or not, I don't forgive a fuck. I put it to you this way. Um, in terms of businesses, I also was a 60-year-old man sitting in my living room talking shit, and I built a following of 370,000 people on TikTok. So what have you done? Money, we really needs to turn Texas blue. Do you realize how blue Texas is if people would get out and vote? I do actually. I talked to Jace. He's on the podcast tomorrow. He's in Texas, in San Antonio. And he says Texas could very well easily be blue, but people just don't get out and vote. I saw a story with Beto O'Rourke. He's getting out and getting people to register and vote. So hopefully that works. Hopefully people are tired of the Greg Abbotts and the Ted Cruzes and they want to get some things really done in their state. I do know that the potential is there. It's just about turnout. Um, excuse me. What are the chances of fixing the Supreme Court? And do you see that happening? Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the first thing, one of the first things they have to do. If we can get Kamala in office, which we will, if we can get a majority in the House, which we almost certainly will, a big majority, and if we can maintain or even extend the majority in the Senate, then we can do some things. One of the first things we may want to do is try to get rid of the filibuster, because that will take away the need for a super majority and we can do things on a simple majority. But yeah, there'll be some things done. If not impeaching people, by adding more justices and stacking the court a little bit and diluting the whole conservative thing. The other thing, too, is you have to consider, at least with Clarence Thomas, there may be some legal ramifications with him. He's broken some laws and he may end up getting indicted, or they may go to him and say, listen, you retire or you're going to jail, motherfucker. And I'll guarantee you that old fuck will rather retire. Tina, Nancy from Maryland, because he knows Trump is an idiot, and if he won, he could get him to do anything. Yeah, that's true. Blue wave, more like a tsunami. Absolutely. Philly Lily says gravy seals with the laughing emojis. I didn't make that up. I got that from somebody else, but it's perfect. The gravy seals. Biden will not sit around while another January 6th happens. Now, remember, Joe Biden is a patriotic guy. He wants control of what's going on. He's not going to allow that to happen. And don't forget, he has total immunity. He can do whatever the fuck he wants, and he's on his way out. Nobody can hold it against him. He can go off the rails on January 18th and 19th and then leave town on the 20th. Apple Dumpling Gang. Do you remember? Yeah, Jackie, you're showing your age here. If you know who the Apple Dumpling Gang is, you got to be kind of around my age. Republicans should just ask Donald to step down. Yeah, they probably should have, but they probably should have done that 2 years ago. If he steps aside now, he's already officially the nominee. If he steps aside now, they got a problem. Who are they going to get to replace him? They really don't have anybody to replace him. And the other problem they have is because Donald Trump is ahead of a cult, these people just won't come out and vote at all. So if they don't come out and vote because Donald Trump's not in the election, they also won't vote for the down ballot people. And if they don't vote for the down ballot people, it will be a total wipeout for the Democrats, which I'm all for. I'm just thinking Donald Trump, something may happen where he can't continue, either physically or mentally or whatever. Maybe they'll replace him with Shady Vance. Oh, that would be hysterical. I always get a kick where they say that JD Vance is dragging Donnie Trump down. Really? Is JD Vance that's dragging Donnie Trump down? I think it's Donnie Trump that's dragging Donnie Trump down. I mean, JD Vance doesn't have 34 felony convictions. JD Vance wasn't found liable for sexual assault. JD Vance didn't steal classified documents. JD Vance didn't incite a riot on January 6th. It didn't matter who Donald Trump had as a vice presidential candidate. Donald Trump is self destructing, and that's all that needs to happen. JD Vance is not helping the matter, but if Donald Trump loses, it's not because of JD Vance. All right, Trump. All right. Do you think Pete gets a different role in the new administration? I would think he would, maybe a higher level one. I see Pete as a future of the Republican Party. He's smart, he's articulate, he's tough. Um, maybe see him in a different position with Kamala. But they do need to keep Pete in there. I think they should get Stacey Abrams out of Georgia, get her on the administration. There's a few people out there that could stand to maybe Beto O'Rourke too. He'd be good to have in the administration as well. The Republican Party is incredibly bad shape, really bad shape. Rita B says, "Hey, where have you been?" Rita, I've been here every day, all day. I haven't gone anywhere. It's a fucking algorithm from TikTok. They're not letting you see me. So, Rita, I'll tell you this. If at some point you don't see me on TikTok and can't find me on TikTok, all my TikToks are also on YouTube. They're also on Facebook and they're also on Instagram. So if you can't find it here, you can find it there. And on Spotify and YouTube, we also have the podcast too. So I'm always here. Been here every day for fucking 4 years. Blame that on TikTok at this point. Has anyone heard what Lindsey Graham is doing? He's off the radar. Wonder why. Well, every time I see him on TV, he's crying. Last time I heard from him, he was saying, telling Donald to get on topic and stop talking about the stuff he was talking about. Kevin McCarthy came out and said, "Geez, Donnie, stop talking about attendance. Talk about the issues." Yeah, what issues do you want him to talk about? Overturning Roe v. Wade and being proud of that? That ain't going to help either. Yeah, a lot of people. Um, when is the deadline to drop out? I don't know that there's a deadline. I mean, if it's a day before the election and Donald Trump keels over, he's out. There's no deadline. I mean, he's kind of locked in because he is the nominee and JD is the vice presidential candidate. He could theoretically get rid of JD, but it would be just a mess and it would not help his chances in the November election. Trump is running to stay out of prison. Yeah, that's pretty much all he's doing. It's a Hail Mary pass, and it doesn't look good. Donald Trump is going to underthrow this Hail Mary pass by a long shot. All right. He really has too big of an ego. Yeah. You hysterical. I don't know what that means. Just want to remind you we're on TikTok Live. We're also doing the Rational Boomer podcast. We're at about an hour, 17 minutes. This is the longest we've gone so far. Um, Usually by now we get the Trump fucks in here and they're trying to shut us down and do all that stuff. But our moderators are out there doing a hell of a job keeping things straight and keeping the Trump fucks off our backs. And it's nice that we were able to go for a while. How do you feel about regaining the House? I think we're going to regain the House in a big way by like 30 or 40 seats, honestly, maybe more. Please don't interact with the trolls. The mods will handle them. Absolutely. They want you to talk to them because their family won't talk to them. And they want a platform because they can't have a platform of their own. So just ignore them. Just ignore them like mom and dad used to do. Um, can I ask a question about the border? Go ahead. Don't ask me if you can ask the question. Just ask the question. I mean, I'll tell you what I can tell you. Analytical Iowan says if the Republicans get Trump off their ticket, there's a chance that Trump cult will write him in. Yeah, that's probably true. Hawley needs to go in Missouri. Help us out. Yeah. Josh Hawley needs to go. That pussy ass bitch. Hawk says Donnie Two Scoops. Yeah, Hawk has a lot of nicknames for Donnie. I like the one he says. The one the Hawk uses is Pervert Huber or Pervert Hoover. I like that one. Clever. Do you like Glenn Kirshner? Yeah, I like Glenn Kirshner a lot. He's one of the few people I honestly trust when I hear somebody talking. Um, let's see what else here. JD Vance doesn't help the cause though at all. No, JD Vance doesn't help at all. He never did help. I mean, Donald Trump just saw him as a young guy who had a number one book and a movie and thought, well, he's popular, so I'll make him the VP candidate. But he's a dipshit. Frank says, I don't think he'll quit. He will lose and claim he won and the election was stolen. Well, he'll do that, but it won't work. Didn't work last time, and he's going to look silly this time. Jude says, signing out here. Good night, everyone. Feel better, Boomer. Thank you very much. I am already feeling better, and I will too. And I'm going to be wrapping things up here shortly. I know I never understood how people come and do lives for 5 hours and expect people to stay. What the fuck? I'm too old for that shit. Um, Vance would be a better president than Trump. I don't think so. I mean, I think they'd both be horrible. I think it would be a travesty if either one were president. Unc, why do you think MAGA are so delusional to this man? I really don't get it. That's a good question. I don't know. You would think after all this time, all we've seen and heard, you would get the hint. I think part of it is the media. You know, depending on what you watch, you get a different story, and you don't hear all the bad things if you're just watching Fox News. I also think that I also think that they're in a cult and they just refuse to admit they're wrong. It, for the life of me, I don't know. I mean, you got to be able to admit you're wrong sometimes. I do it all the time. I've been married 40 years. I'm told I'm wrong every fucking day. You got to own up to it. Money Money says, I hope your cold goes away soon and you get better soon again. I love your content. Thank you, Money Money. Yeah, I'm fine. Cold's fine. I'm 64 years old. I've had a million colds. Uh, TJ says, listen to Rational Boomer podcast on Spotify or YouTube. Audio version on Spotify, video version on YouTube. By all means, I encourage you to listen to the Rational Boomer podcast. We have a lot of fun on the show. If you're a listener, you have every right to send an email, which we will read. Or if you just want to be on the show, be a guest or co host on the show, you can do it. TJ, the plumber, has been on the show. The analytical Iowan, he's been on the show. Old Soul's been on the show. Ed, that's another guy I want to tell you to check out. One of the guys that's on the Rational Boomer podcast is a guy by the name of Ed. He's a guy I worked with in radio for many, many years. He and I have known each other a long time. And when he does the show, it's always very interesting. And he has a TikTok account that you should check out. It's not really political in nature, somewhat, but not totally. But he's kind of a storyteller and historical storyteller. And you check him out at Holler Troll, HOLLERTROLL. Check that out. I want to buy you dinner in Portland, Charles. Well, thank you for that. I've been to Portland. I was in Portland, was it last year? This past year? This past fall? I love Portland. It's a great town. I had dinner in Portland. Well, if I come back to Portland, I'll let you know. MML Ocean, thank you for your input. You always keep me updated. I rely on you. Thank you. And I rely on you guys for being there to actually listen. There's a lot of white racism and nationalism. Yeah, there is. There always has been, and there always will be. All we can hope to do is push them back under the rocks and shut their fucking mouths. That's all we can really do. Let's see here. The propaganda, for sure, they played on their emotions and they fell hard for it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. They bought into it and they ain't selling. They're sticking with it. And that's the thing is, as this thing falls apart for Donald Trump over the next, I don't know, over the next 2 months, people are going to start feeling kind of weird. They're going to realize that they're losing. They're going to realize that they're wrong. And it's going to be interesting to see how they react. They're going to fight for it. They're going to push back, but they're going to lose in the end. And after the election on November 5th, it's going to be embarrassing for a lot of folks because between now and the election and after the election, a lot of things are going to come out. all the things they believed are going to be proven wrong. And there's going to be some crazy evidence of some crazy shit going on with Donald Trump. And when that comes out, they aren't going to know how to react. Do you think we can get a supermajority in the Senate or get away with the filibuster? Uh, Getting a supermajority might be tough because you got to get like what 63 or 66 senators. That might be tough, but I think one of the first things they do have to do is get rid of the filibuster. I know both sides have reasons not to get rid of the filibuster because they're afraid that when the other party gets in that situation, they'll just run everything through. And that's probably true, but the way it's going now with the Republican Party, they are going to fall apart completely. It's going to be a good 10 years before they're back to full power again because they're going to have to reimagine themselves. If there's a time to get rid of the filibuster, now would be the time. Hopefully they see that. Uh, Look at the border crossing numbers during Trump administration compared to the Biden administration. Yeah, people talk about how there's borders opens and stuff like that. There isn't a lot of difference in the two. Fact is, the border's an issue for every president we've ever had. Um, let's see here. We're getting down toward the end. Annie Guts says, "Have a good night, pleasant dreams." Thank you, Annie. Uh, you have a great day. Do you think you could get a supermajority in the Senate? We already talked about that. All right. I want to buy you dinner. Oh, God, I'm going backwards here. It's hilarious that the Dem ticket is considered super left by MAGA. Um, well, the Dem ticket isn't super left. You know, it's funny um, when they talk about Tim Walz and how he's super left. He got free lunches for kids, he got paid leave, he codified abortion rights in this town. Of that, what's crazy left? What's bad? What the Republicans are trying to tell you is that anything that's done to benefit the middle class is bad, and anything to give money to the wealthy is good. They've been selling this story for a long time. A lot of people have bought into it, but it's all bullshit. Um, Boba says reinstate the Fairness Act to cancel Fox. Absolutely. That should never have been taken down, and it should be back in place. Let's see here. We love you, Rational Boomer. Joe, I don't know how to say it. Joeseabe. I don't know if it's Joe Seeb or Josia. I don't know. I see your picture though. Thank you very much. Boomer, let's turn Nevada blue. I think there's a good possibility of that when you look at the crowd that was in Nevada. Jesus Christ. And we got Old Soul in Nevada, so she's out there canvassing and working her tail off. Democrats are using taxpayer money to pay you off. I always love that. They say the Democrats are paying you, Mike. No, they're not. I'll be honest with you. If the Democrats called me up and said, "I'll give you 100 grand a year to do what you're doing," I'd take that fucking money. But not getting paid to do that. And if I was getting paid like that from the Democrats, I'd be dressing better. Colbert is back live tonight, and it's all about Walz in Minnesota. His writers just featured Minnetonka. Well, I happen to live in a condo on Minnetonka, so I should check that out. Let's see here. Stop Project 2025. Yeah, I think Project 2025 is pretty much done. I think they want to try to implement it, but it's been pretty much destroyed at this point. The only way it comes into play is if Donald Trump is elected, and Donald Trump is not going to get elected. They're going to keep trying, but again, as I've said before, As I said before, we've got a younger generation coming in. They're taking control. They'll never have that shit. They'll never vote for a crazy conservative or a Trump-la-fuck again. They know they're losing and they know there's no hope for them coming back. That's why they're scraping and scrambling right at this point. So it's it's not surprising. Well, I tell you what I'm going to do. I've been here for an hour and a half now. I'm sure some of you folks have to get to bed or getting bored, but I appreciate you coming out and listening to this live. And if you want to rehear it or hear all of it, you can go to the Rational Boomer podcast tomorrow or the next day, actually. And the live will be on YouTube and Spotify as well. So we're here for you. And of course, I'll be doing the TikToks every day as I normally do. And I appreciate you coming out and listening and making your comments and following and doing all that stuff. I really do appreciate it immensely. So you have a good night, and we will talk to you again soon. All right. Now we're off TikTok Live and we're back to the Rational Boomer podcast. And we got about an hour and a half in. Hopefully that was valuable to you and it was interesting. I do like doing the lives because it keeps the pace up. And it's really kind of easier for me to do it this way because I've always got something to talk about and I'm not trying to I can bounce around a little bit. So, anyway, I want to thank you for listening to the Rational Boomer podcast. I hope you have a great day. And of course, we'll talk to you again tomorrow.